Hello, and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. An Israeli refusal to allow mobile homes and heavy construction equipment into Gaza bodes ill for this week's second phase indirect Gaza ceasefire talks, with Israel and Hamas hardening their negotiating positions. The mobile homes and heavy equipment issue is about more than offering temporary relief to a population in a territory in which Israel destroyed or damaged 90% of its housing stock and critical infrastructure. It's about whether Gaza can be reconstructed without resettling the territory's 2.3 million inhabitants and the rebuilding's purpose. The homes and equipment sit on trucks lined up on the Egyptian side of Gaza's border, waiting for a green light to enter the strip. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is laughing all the way to the bank with US President Donald Trump's insistence that reconstruction of the war ravaged strip requires emptying Gaza of its population, not because there are no alternatives, but because he wants to turn the strip into a beachfront real estate development. In a statement to the media, alongside Marco Rubio on his first visit to Israel as U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Netanyahu said they had discussed President Trump's bold vision for Gaza's future, how we can work together to ensure that future becomes a reality. With two more staged prisoner exchanges scheduled in the Gaza ceasefire's first phase, which ends in early March, Hamas potentially has another opportunity to try to force Israel to fully comply with the truce that stipulates the import into Gaza of 60,000 mobile homes and construction equipment to remove tons of rubble. Last week, Hamas temporarily suspended the exchanges, forcing Israel to increase the flow of humanitarian goods in accordance with the ceasefire agreement. There was no indication at the time of this writing that Hamas may want to repeat its performance, even though Mr. Netanyahu refused to authorize the import of the homes on the eve of Mr. Rubio's arrival in Israel. An Israeli official said a meeting of senior security officials had decided that the issue of caravans will be discussed in the coming days. He added that Israel is fully coordinating with the United States. The postponement fueled Palestinian concerns that Mr. Netanyahu's refusal to allow mobile homes and construction equipment into Gaza constituted a first stab at trying to force Gazan Palestinians to leave their homeland in violation of international law. Messrs. Netanyahu and Rubio reinforced those fears with the Prime Minister's most recent statement. Mr. Netanyahu's refusal strokes with the Prime Minister's effort to weaken Hamas's negotiating position by demanding the ceasefire's first phase be extended beyond early March so that more hostages can be released before the second phase kicks in. The hostages are Hamas's main trump card in the negotiations. Reading from notes at last week's Al Jazeera forum in Doha, Hamas spokesman Osama Hamdan matched Israel's hardened attitude with a stiffening of the group's position going into negotiations to secure the Gaza ceasefire's second phase that would make the truce permanent and ensure a complete Israeli withdrawal from the strip. Mr. Hamdan's remarks highlighted the gap between Hamas's position and Israel's insistence, as reiterated by Messrs. Netanyahu and Rubio in their statements, that the group be disarmed and banned from playing a political role in Gaza's future. Claiming victory in Gaza with the support of Iran, Turkey, and South Africa, which charged Israel with committing genocide in Gaza in the International Court of Justice, Mr. Hamdan seemed to want to provoke by insisting that these countries, rather than Arab states like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, which failed to aid the Palestinian resistance, play a significant role in post-war Gaza. Anyone who wants to act in Israel's place will be treated as such and bear the consequences of being an agent of Israel, Mr. Hamdan said, suggesting that the group would target an Arab and or Palestinian security force if it were deployed in Gaza. Mr. Hamdan rejected demands that Hamas disarm or suggestions that its leaders agree to go into exile and the group step aside. In the past, Hamas has said it was willing to cede government in Gaza to a national committee, provided it had a say in choosing its members. Arab leaders are mulling various post-war Gaza governance options, including an administration of local technocrats in advance of a February 27 summit in Cairo. The summit is expected to produce an alternative to Mr. Trump's resettlement proposal. Mr. Hamdan ended his remarks by saying Hamas had demonstrated its capability with its October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, in which it and other Palestinian groups killed some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and kidnapped 251 others. It was unclear whether Mr. Hamdan was staking out a negotiating position or stating a stance doomed to fail the second phase ceasefire talks. Mr. Hamdan could be playing with fire. Mr. Netanyahu may not want to jeopardize the remaining 2 prisoner exchanges scheduled for the ceasefire's first phase, but Mr. Trump has given him a free hand in deciding what to do next. Israel will now have to decide what they will do about the 12 o'clock today deadline imposed on the release of all hostages. The United States will back the decision they make, Mr. Trump said on his social media platform, Truth Social, after Hamas swapped 3 more Israeli hostages for 369 Palestinians incarcerated in Israeli prisons. Mr. Trump set the deadline after Hamas initially postponed the exchange. Mr. Netanyahu subsequently reiterated the ultimatum, but seems now willing to proceed in the stages set out in the ceasefire agreement. However, the Prime Minister is keeping everyone guessing what will happen after that. President Trump and I are working in full cooperation between us. We have a common strategy. We can't always share it with the public, including when the gates of hell will be opened, as they surely will if all our hostages are not released until the last one of them, Mr. Netanyahu said, referring to the threat Mr. Trump issued last week. Thank you for joining me today. If you appreciate hard-hitting, fact-based analysis, please consider upgrading to a paid Substack subscription to help ensure that independent journalism and analysis survive. Without your support, hard-hitting, fact-based analysis would not be possible. You can contribute by going to jamesmdorsey.substack.com and choosing one of the subscription options. Thank you for your support and loyalty. Take care and best wishes.